The National News Desk, locally covered, nationally connected.
It's going to be a very important meeting, but it's setting the table for the second meeting.
New insight into President Trump's plan for his in-person meeting with Russian President Putin Friday, what Trump warns will happen if Putin doesn't agree to end the war. Then, dangerous conditions continue after deadly overnight flooding in Tennessee. The state's at risk for more flooding tonight. Then a historic change in how many Americans are choosing to drink, why alcohol consumption is at a record low. This is the National News Desk, America's News Now. I'm Dee Gatton. Thank you for being here. In 2 days, President Trump will have the first in-person meeting with Russian President Putin in over 7 years as he continues his effort to bring about an end to the war in Ukraine. Trump is also sharing new plans for what he hopes comes after the summit in Alaska. The National News Desk, Atra El-Nashar, has the details of that and what we now know about his virtual meeting with European leaders.
Before heading to Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson in Anchorage for a summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin, President Trump huddling virtually with European allies Wednesday morning.
We had a very good call. He was on the call. President Zelensky was on the call. I would rate it a 10, very, very friendly.
Earlier this week, Trump made it seem inevitable that Ukraine would have to give up territory as part of a deal to bring an end to Russia's war. Europe standing firm with Ukraine against this idea. After the call, as he's done throughout the week, President Trump tempering expectations for what his meeting with Putin will yield.
I'm going to find out where we are and what we're doing.
You think this is a listening exercise for the president?
This is really a feel-out meeting, a little bit.
The president says if things with Putin go well enough, he wants to see a second meeting almost immediately.
Between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself, if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out.
Will Russia face any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
There will be
consequences. Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences.
The president has already threatened countries that buy Russian oil with 100% secondary tariffs if Russia didn't end its war by last week. So far, only India has been hit with a 25% levy. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying this Wednesday.
I could see if things don't go well, then sanctions or secondary tariffs could go up.
Now, when asked whether he's confident he can convince Putin to stop targeting civilians in Ukraine, Trump says no, that in the past he's had what he thought were good conversations about this with Putin, only to hang up and see that Russian forces hit another civilian target.
And Atra, as you know, President Trump saying earlier he would call Zelensky after his meeting with Putin ends. What can you tell us about that, as well as how important this is?
Yeah, a lot has been made about the order in which Trump calls either Zelensky or the rest of the European allies. We now know it'll be Zelensky first, and this is important for a few reasons. It sends a signal to Putin that just because Zelensky won't be there in person, Trump still recognizes his status by not grouping him in with the rest of Europe. And it's also a sign of respect on Trump's part. We know, right, that the two leaders did not exactly get off to a good start. Dee.
Yep, no, they didn't. Live from Washington, D.C., Atra El-Nashar, thank you. Tennessee man is missing after extreme overnight flooding that killed a mother, father, and child. According to Hamilton County officials, the ground got so saturated it caused a tree to fall onto the family's car. The total amount of rainfall and the extent of the damage from the flash flooding is unclear. Crews rescued multiple people trapped in cars and homes overnight. The threat of excessive rainfall continues in parts of Tennessee and neighboring states, along with areas in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, with over 20 million people under flood watches right now. A flooding disaster has largely been averted in Alaska. Today, officials said new barriers installed along a river in the capital city prevented record flooding and major damage. Officials had warned people living close to Juneau's flood zone to evacuate as a massive wave of water started escaping from a glacier yesterday. Flooding has been a yearly concern for the area since 2011. A judge is considering the legal fate of alligator Alcatraz following a hearing that wrapped up today. The group Friends of the Everglades filed a lawsuit claiming the immigration detention facility broke environmental laws. Florida officials argued construction wouldn't significantly impact animals. A ruling against the state could indefinitely pause construction. Also, President Trump says his administration will continue to build parts of the wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. The president says the administration is in the process of buying back material for the wall that was sold during the Biden administration. The president criticizes Biden for selling the material and says Biden sold it for pennies on the dollar. A judge is considering whether to dismiss a Trump administration lawsuit against all of Maryland's federal judges. In a hearing today, the judge seemed skeptical the lawsuit was necessary. The DOJ argued a Maryland judge's order to pause immediate deportation of migrants challenging their removals prevents immigration law enforcement. Lawyers for the judges claimed the lawsuit is an attempt to limit their power. A ruling is expected by Labor Day. The Trump administration wins a court battle to freeze billions of dollars in foreign aid. An appeals court panel voting to toss out a preliminary injunction against the funding freeze. A lower court had issued the pause as part of a lawsuit filed by a group of grant recipients. Now, this money includes $4 billion for global health programs and then another $6 billion for HIV and AIDS programs.
The fire may have been set intentionally behind the building in dumpsters that were not associated with our collective, and that's really heartbreaking.
An arson spree continues to unsettle Seattle residents as charges against an initial suspect are now dismissed. Officials found a software engineer was wrongfully charged in a porch fire that killed a woman in June. The Arson Alarm Foundation is offering a reward for information leading to an arrest. The fire department says at least 2 out of 8 recent destructive fires were intentionally set. Police are searching for a pregnant woman in Rehoboth, Massachusetts. Kylie Montero is described as being around 6 feet tall, light brown hair, blue eyes. She was last seen on a long road in a wooded area wearing a red shirt and jeans. Her family says it's unusual not to hear from her for this long. Police are urging anyone with information to contact them. Federal law enforcement and the National Guard are now on the streets of Washington, D.C. as the debate over President Trump's efforts to combat crime and homelessness in the nation's capital city rages on. The National News Desk, Emma Withrow, reports.
President Trump announcing this year's Kennedy Center honorees Wednesday.
We're going to also fix up a place called Washington, D.C. We're going to make it so beautiful again.
But just outside the Kennedy Center earlier this week, homeless living in tents, a scene repeated throughout Washington, D.C., and something Trump once cleaned up as a part of his D.C. crime crackdown.
Homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services, and if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time.
Federal law enforcement and more than 850 National Guard troops taking to D.C. streets. The Trump administration touting 24 arrests for a range of crimes, including murder, since the president announced his federal takeover on Monday.
The deterrence message is keeping people off the street from doing violent things so they know there's an uptick in law enforcement.
Democrats pushing back on the federal deployment.
What people want more than anything in those communities is they don't want performative, they want performance. They're looking for someone who actually understands how to make people feel safe and how to make people actually safe in their communities.
The Trump administration arguing that people aren't safe, despite statistics showing a drop in crime, a sentiment shared by D.C.-based ABC News anchor Kira Phillips.
It was within the last 2 years that I actually was jumped walking just 2 blocks down from here. And then just this morning, one of my coworkers said her car was stolen a block away from the Bureau.
D.C.'s mayor insisting that characterizations of D.C. as crime-ridden and dirty are exaggerated.
We don't live in a dirty city. We are not 700,000 scumbags and punks. We don't have neighborhoods that should be bulldozed.
Fighting crime is a good thing. We have to explain. We're going to fight crime. The place is going to hell, and we've got to stop it.
I'm Emma Withrow reporting.
Coming up, new whistleblower allegations of an attempted smear campaign against President Trump, what Democratic Senator Adam Schiff is accused of. Then, the new artificial intelligence feature YouTube is testing to improve the safety of minors using the platform. Then, why officials in Utah say a large water tax increase for hundreds of thousands of frustrated residents was necessary. We're back in 90 seconds. Congress wants to learn more from a whistleblower alleging Democratic Senator Adam Schiff wanted to leak classified information to smear the president. The National News Desk, Matt Gelka, reports from Washington.
FBI Director Kash Patel sent Congress declassified whistleblower memos with allegations from a longtime Democratic staffer against Democratic California Senator Adam Schiff. The whistleblower talked to the FBI as early as 2017 and again in 2023 and alleges when Schiff was still in the House, he instructed staff to leak classified information involving Russia and Donald Trump in an attempt to smear the president.
The president has already said he wants to see Adam Schiff held accountable for the countless lies he told the American people in relation to the Russiagate scandal.
The whistleblower alleges he told Schiff and his staff he thought leaking would be illegal, unethical, and treasonous. House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan hopes the unnamed source talks to his committee.
And the main reason I believe he's probably credible is this is their pattern. They did it all along. They were leaking information to friendly news outlets to further this false narrative that somehow President Trump was working with the Russians.
Schiff has dismissed the claims. A spokesperson said in part, these baseless smears are based on allegations that were found to be not reliable, not credible, and unsubstantiated from a disgruntled former staffer who was fired by the House Intelligence Committee for cause in early 2017, including for harassment and potentially compromising activity on official travel for the committee. The Trump Justice Department is separately investigating mortgage fraud allegations against Schiff. The California Democrat has long been a target of the president, and he's called the mortgage fraud allegation an attempted distraction from the Trump administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case.
This means that the American people cannot trust the administration. They can't trust the intelligence community because its leaders are liars. They can't trust the administration because the president is a liar.
The whistleblower also alleged that Schiff believed he was going to be appointed director of the CIA had Hillary Clinton won the 2016 election. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka.
Tropical storm Erin is on track to become a hurricane as it strengthens in the Atlantic Ocean. It is traveling towards the Caribbean with maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour. Now, Erin will gradually strengthen today and will likely become a hurricane by late tomorrow or early Friday. It's still too soon to tell exactly how this storm will impact the United States. Also, a large wildfire we've got our eyes on in Washington. It is prompting air quality alerts right now for people near the Olympic National Forest. The Bear Gulch fire has grown to over 7,300 acres. It is only 3% contained. The human-caused fire is now in its 6th week, with officials saying it's the largest fire on the Olympic Peninsula since the 1950s. The specific cause is under investigation. The war-torn East African nation of South Sudan denies talking with Israel about resettling Palestinians. The Associated Press reports Israel and the U.S. reached out to 3 African governments to see if their territories could be used as destinations for people displaced from Gaza. South Sudan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs calls the reports baseless. The alleged plan has already been condemned, with critics raising legal and moral issues. GE Appliances says it will move more of its production to the U.S. This includes shifting the production of refrigerators, gas ranges, and water heaters out of China and Mexico. The Chinese-owned company estimates the move will add 1,000 jobs to the U.S. economy. This is all a part of a $3 billion investment to expand GE's operations in Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and South Carolina. More Americans are choosing not to drink alcohol, according to a new Gallup poll. It shows 54% of adults report drinking alcoholic beverages, the lowest number since Gallup began tracking it in 1939. Alcohol consumption peaked in the late 1970s at 71%. It's declining as a record number of people now believe moderate drinking is unhealthy. And there is a big push right now from those who have been given a second chance at life to ask others to consider organ donation. Medical reporter Liz Bonus shares one woman's story of gratitude.
Hey there, everybody. This sign says organ donors save lives. But lately, due to some conflicting messages, organ procurement organizations tell us some people are choosing to take their names off the organ donation list.
That means for the more than 100,000 people waiting for an organ transplant,
we're waiting longer.
Barry Massa, the CEO of the National Procurement Organization Network for Hope, told me. Sandra Wright knows what that feels like. 8 years ago, she had a heart transplant.
It was truly a miracle. It was a miraculous experience.
Sandra admits before she needed a new heart due to a virus that attacked her own, organ donation was a taboo topic.
But honey, trust me, I have a different opinion about it now. Because of the wonderful gift of having a heart transplant, I am still here. It is vital to the extension of life.
Due to recent unfavorable media reports and continued myths that circulate online about the organ procurement process, Barry Massa says,
The public trust is definitely taking a hit.
Donate Life America recorded a 700% increase in donor registration removals in just 1 week last month. Network for Hope says last month in just one of the states where they manage organ procurement, they lost more than 1,800 names. A usual month is about 200. And yet the Organ Procurement Transplant Network says the past 2 years have recorded record highs, nearly 48,000 organ transplants performed. As this picture provided by Network for Hope shows, Barry recently testified on Capitol Hill about one concern that people on the organ donation list raised: who's present when a patient is pronounced deceased?
We are not even in the room.
Sandra runs a nonprofit now to help others learn more about organ donation and heart health called The Right Life Wellness. She says she hopes if her donor family is watching this, they know she is forever grateful.
Knowledge is key and it's powerful.
If you have questions, your healthcare provider or any other national agency would be happy to answer them. If you do choose to be an organ donor, you can register online. Be sure to tell your family your wishes. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
Amazon says its Prime members will soon be able to order milk and eggs at the same time as clothes, electronic items, and other basic items and get it delivered that day. It's a direct challenge to Instacart and Walmart Plus, which both do same-day grocery delivery. The new service will roll out to more than 2,300 U.S. cities by the end of the year. And YouTube is now testing a new safety feature for teens in the U.S. An AI model will estimate the user's age through signals like YouTube activity and longevity of the account. If the technology determines the person is under 18, it will notify the user and automatically enable certain protections. These include tools like reminders to take breaks or go to bed. Coming up, what business owners in D.C. think about President Trump's deployment of the National Guard. We'll be right back. This is the National News Desk, America's News Now. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering issues that matter to you. From Texas police investigating a deadly shooting to a controversial water tax hike in Utah, we're taking the pulse of America. But we start in Washington, D.C., where store owners impacted by juvenile crime are backing the president's crime crackdown.
Sajib and Tamika own the 24/7 Best Tobacco and Wireless at Heckinger Mall Shopping Center. The store sells a lot of food, too. Friday night, they say 20 to 30 juveniles came and did this.
And if a lot of kids are hungry, I have no problem with feeding nobody. You know what I'm saying? Kids, I would give it to them.
But they don't even think the juveniles ate much of what they took. Instead, they just trashed the place, as this video obtained by our news partner WTOP shows. We asked the couple what they think of President Trump's plan to federalize city police and deploy more officers and the National Guard.
I'm telling Trump, yeah, just send the boys to been around because this is crazy. And then you see Dollar Tree closing, CVS closed down, 7-Eleven closed down. We trying to put a store in your community, then you do this.
This is the CVS she mentioned that closed. At the next closest one on H Street, you can't even so much as buy a $2 bottle of soap without asking an employee to unlock the display case.
The city keeps saying crime is down, but do you feel safe?
No, I don't think so. Crime is down. Crime is up.
In D.C.? Who told that lie?
Innocent lives were taken in broad daylight in a place where people should feel safe to run their everyday errands and to live their everyday lives.
32-year-old Ethan Neinecker showed up to the Target with a handgun he received from a family member, according to Austin police. Neinecker shot and killed an employee, Hector Martinez Machuca, while he was pushing shopping carts. Police say he then turned his attention to Adam Chow, who was sitting in his Toyota 4Runner with his wife and his 4-year-old granddaughter. Neinecker shot and killed Chow and then shot into the back seat where the child was sitting before beating Chow's wife. Austin police got a call of a naked man walking through someone's backyard in South Austin. Sergeant Nathan Sexton says when they found him,
he said that he was Jesus, and there was really no reason whatsoever given. It was a completely random choosing of the victims.
APD Chief Lisa Davis says all of this happened in less than 1 hour. Nineker was tased after not listening to officers' commands. He's being charged with 2 counts of capital murder and 1 count of first-degree murder.
The pain caused will be felt by our community for years to come.
We're against just an arbitrary taking a hike in taxes. We would like to see those in charge look at where you can cut.
Stephen and Julie Kenyon are already on a fixed income, and this additional tax will be another hit to their wallet. Those in favor of the tax say it's because there is a lot of infrastructure that needs to be developed to handle the growing demands of the area. While Riverton City Council member Andy Perucci serves on the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District and was the lone vote against the tax increase at their June meeting and voted against it again Monday night.
Before we as government go and ask them for more taxes, we need to do everything possible to cut costs, tighten our belts, and look at our own spending first. And I don't feel like we've done that enough yet.
Well, they want to raise it 11%. That's a lot. You know, and I'm sure they're not the only ones. Other utilities or other places want to raise theirs for the property tax. But where's it going to end?
Coming up, the newest Kennedy Center honorees announced by President Trump today. We'll explain right after this. President Trump says he will host the Kennedy Center Honors this year. He announced its newest honorees today. They include country music star George Strait, Rocky actor Sylvester Stallone, singer Gloria Gaynor, the rock band Kiss, as well as actor-singer Michael Crawford. Trump says he was heavily involved in the selection process, a break from tradition, which normally includes input from the public. He spoke highly of all the honorees, even calling Stallone a friend.
Real talent, never been given the credit for the talent. There was nobody else could have done the roles that he did like he did. I'm not even close, and they've tried, and they didn't work out too well. His name is Sylvester Stallone.
The gala will take place December 7th. The honors are Lifetime Achievement Awards. Past honorees included Aretha Franklin and LL Cool J. That's going to do it for us for this edition of the National News Desk. We invite you to join us again this evening. I'm Dee Dee Gatton here in Washington. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tonight at 10.